Narrator. As World War II comes to a close, Allied forces are moving deeper into France, which is still controlled by the Nazis. American pilots with the 415th Night Fighter Squadron are on a night raid along the Rhine River on November 27th when they say they see several strange red lights in the sky. The glowing orbs seem to chase them as they make a series of moves. Suddenly, they are gone. In the days that follow, more pilots have similar experiences. No matter what they were, these ships, planes, or other things were often just called balls of light. They would also get very close to Allied planes. A lot of the time, these strange balls of light moved and traveled at speeds that were way ahead of what was possible with airplanes at the time. As more and more Allied pilots saw the strange orbs, they started calling them Foo Fighters. Bill Barnes. They were called Foo Fighters because they were glowing on the inside. The French word for fire is FEU, and they called them FEU. And that's how they got the name Foo Fighters from the Americans. These Foo Fighters often just stayed very briefly and then maneuvered with incredible speed, either straight up or far away. Narrator. Most concerning to pilots was that sightings were often accompanied by bizarre malfunctions to their aircraft. Barnes. What the airmen found was the Foo Fighters were sending an electric signal out that got in the way of their radios, buzzing, got in the way of their navigational instruments. Taylor. These orbs would fly near the airplanes, even as close as the airplane wing, and the pilots claimed that it interacted with or confused the controls or changed how they operated and might have made them nearly crash. Pope. It was as if these things were observing the pilots. These balls of light would often keep track of the aircraft, so this was a real concern for the authorities. But no overt hostile action, which leads to the question, what were these things and what was going on? Narrator. Allied airmen speculated that the Foo Fighters were a secret weapon that had been developed by the Germans. However, after the war, it became clear that the flying orbs had been encountered by forces on both sides of the conflict. Dolan. We learned that German and Japanese pilots were also reporting these. Now, these Foo Fighters never seemed to be weapons directed against them, because they often just stayed very briefly and then maneuvered with incredible speed, either straight up or far away. We don't know what they are officially. They strike me as classic UFO-type activity. Tsoukalos. I think the argument can be made that some of these orbs that we see today are those Foo Fighters of World War II. Narrator. Is it possible that the Foo Fighters of World War II were extraterrestrial visitors? And if so, could they be connected to the glowing orbs that military personnel are witnessing in the present day? According to UFO researchers, America's armed forces have not only been encountering strange orbs for decades, but they sometimes appear in swarms. In July 2019, off the West Coast, 10 U.S. Navy warships were buzzed by unknown craft, one right after another. One of those ships is the USS Omaha. It was surrounded by more than a dozen of these things that would fly toward it, then fly back, and they were trying to get images of it. And finally, on a thermal imaging system, they got one of them. It followed the ship for an hour. It was a perfectly round sphere, something like 8 feet across. No wings, no tail, no rotor. That video showed that there were a bunch of these things floating around the ship for a long period. They'd zip in, zip out, disappear, and appear. What the hell was that? Narrator. Even more astonishing, footage recorded by sailors on the warship shows the mysterious orbs performing maneuvers that defy explanation. Tsoukalos. Many of these orbs dive into the water and come out, and oftentimes you do not see any splashes. It's as if there's an artificial bubble that allows this thing to move through the material without any loss of velocity.